certain. Simply curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known. Would have kept me from the one I had today.
Good morning, Robertson County. This is 1100 WSGI. That's the Ridgetop Rambler singing us in. Did you know we have got the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival that'll be coming up in May this year? I think the 20th and 21st is the official date. We'll be talking to them, of course, as we get closer in, all the representatives for the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. And but right now, we need to talk about what's happening right here in Springfield with himself. Terry Martin is in the house, and he is here for to talk to us all about Parks and Recreation. I have images of that TV show, Parks and Rec. You know, I mean, did y'all enjoy that when it was out? I mean, do you know what I'm talking about?
I did not watch that.
There's a show. Do you know about
Adam
the show?
Hefner from Maker Table.
Yeah,
he came to me one time and he said, "Man, have you ever seen this show?" And I said, "No." And I guess whoever the director is of this show, he was like, "You're definitely that part."
Well, you really, it's funny. You need to watch it. It's really funny. It's really kind of slapstick comedy and just bizarre comedy, kind of like The Office. If you ever watch The Office, that kind of stuff. I never watched The Office, and I don't know why. I had some kind of weird timing, and I just watched that Parks and Rec kind of on Netflix or something, because I never watched it either. But ever since I've met you, I keep going back to images of Parks and Rec. And well, the guy that was, who is the superhero guy? And he's like, I can't think of his name. The real popular actor, and he does. I'm not going to be. I'm terrible with movies. Somebody, who is the guy who came out and he's a big star after Parks and Rec? Somebody let me know in comments, because I cannot think of who he is. But anyway, he was in it. And he's super funny, maybe highly inappropriate at times, but we'll just leave it at that. Anyway, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's so good to see you.
I'm doing good. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Yes. I forget. We don't do Valentine's Day at my house.
We don't either, but I want to put a shout out to my grandson. It's his birthday. So he's a Valentine's baby. So happy birthday, Bresden.
Happy birthday, Bresden. How old is he now?
He is 9.
Wow, we're getting old, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, blame it. You look younger than me. I mean, you got to be about my age then. When did you graduate from high school? That's always my tale.
85.
Well, yeah, you are younger than me then.
Yeah.
You just got started young,
85.
because I graduated in 80, but I was one of the youngest in the school, or youngest in the class. So I graduated when I was 17. You know,
you should have been 81, 82.
Yeah, probably. But my parents were like, "Get her out of here." No, my problem was I was so big.
Yeah.
I mean, I was as tall pretty much as tall as my first grade teacher, because she's a little bitty. But I mean, I was a big kid.
Basketball or volleyball?
I played basketball, but I was like, only because I had to do something. I grew up in the cornfields, man, in Kentucky.
Oh yeah, so you better play some basketball.
Yeah, or I'd be out in the field.
That's right.
So anyway, all right. I know that's not what we got him in here to talk about. But yeah, I thought you were a lot younger than me. But well, happy birthday, Bresden. Happy birthday.
Yep, call him Bubba.
Bubba. Hey, Bubba, happy birthday. So, well, fun stuff. And this is just such a fun community. And we got so many great things going on. And I was talking with Ace the other day, Ace Timmermeyer from the United Way. And she told me about you and I had talked a little bit about the tournament that you've got coming up.
Yes.
But you always do something that's kind of fundraiser. And at that time, when I talked to you last time, you had not decided yet what that was going to be.
Correct.
But since then, all the little parts came together, so you are raising money for Laundry Love. And I love this. Tell me how this is going to work.
So we have, every year we have about 20 teams that are in this early bird tournament. It's March 25th, 26th, 27th. 25th, 26th. I think that's Friday, Saturday. Okay. So we get as many of the local communities to come in and play. We guarantee them so many games. Of course, it's all weather pending, so we need good weather that weekend, because we don't have no room if it gets rained out.
Right.
It does not happen.
Right.
So what we'll do is, instead of charging parents money at the gate, travel ball gate fees are like $10 a person, and Dixie rec ball leagues are $8 a person. Instead of doing that, like last year, we asked them to bring school supplies, and I think we did like $6,500, $6,600 worth of school supplies for the Robertson County schools, for all schools. I could go down the list of supplies, but I won't. But this year, anyway, sitting down with Ace, and Ace wanted to have us participate and raise some quarters for Laundry Love because of the program that they have where they help people out with their laundry. And I didn't realize how big that was.
I know. It's huge.
It is huge. Mm-hmm. It is huge. And, it's just hard times. Sometimes things are it's just hard. Everything's going up price-wise again. It's another tough time. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to tell everybody when they come in the gate, we would like for you to have at least 8 quarters on you per person. And we're going to have a jug or a bucket for each team. And whichever jug or bucket weighs the most at the end of the day, they're going to win the trophy for the most quarters for their team.
Well, and Ace was telling me they have some way to weigh the jugs, and so that way they won't have to count those quarters.
Oh, yeah. You
know, because can you imagine? It'd be like 1, 2, and somebody mess with you, and so they're going to weigh them to get that. And so that's how they're going to do it. But that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
And I can just see these big vats of quarters sitting around Ace's office while they're trying. Because she's told me how much it costs every Friday. The Fridays, because they do it one Friday a month, and do you recall which Friday?
I do not.
I'm wanting to say it's like third Friday. Yeah, me too. She's gonna be like LeVar. But I'm wanting to say maybe third Friday, but that may be wrong. But they do it over here at Sisters Laundry, and the amount of money they go through blew my mind when she told me. Yeah,
how many quarters?
I haven't been to a laundromat often lately, but like you get the big bedspreads, and so here she is. There she is. She's getting it done.
Giving you the info.
Yeah, she's put up here. Okay, she's put it. Yes, third Friday. I got it. Thank you, Ace. Third Friday. And if you're still, give us how much you spend every time you do it on average. How many loads you do and what the average cost is. But it's third Friday of the month is where it happens at Sisters Laundry. And Laundry Love you can go to Laundry Love on the Facebook page to find out more about it. But the big thing, and you want to make sure and go to the Springfield thing, because it's not just here in Springfield. This is something they saw somewhere else and they started doing it. But it's such a blessing because, man, if you're thinking about, I need to go buy groceries, but man, my laundry needs to be done.
Yep.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I can't even fathom that. My son, as he was transitioning from his into his home down in Alabama. His washer and dryer was here because he had just gotten out of college. He's like, man, get that down here. It's expensive to go to the laundromat.
I'm sure. I wonder what the average, wonder how much they spend. $10-$15 in quarters, or is it that much? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'd say at least. And I bet Ace will put something up here. But the average cost to do here we go. She says they spend about $1,000 a month. A high month is $1,750, and they do about 750 to 900 loads per month. So wow. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
So you could, do the math there. If you've got 750 into 1,000, so I don't have my phone. I gotta have my phone if I'm gonna do math, man. I'm just saying.
Just tell Brian to be ready. He's gonna be counting quarters.
There you go. I love it. Yeah, that'll be Brian's job. Count the quarters. But Terry Martin's in the house, and this is going to be a lot of fun. So the date again on this tournament is
March 25th, 26th.
Okay.
I think that's Friday, Saturday.
And where is it taking place?
Travis Price Park.
And they're also doing like a family thing. They're doing
Ace. Yeah. She's got a grant, so she's going to have some blow-ups at another section of the park.
Right.
But it's for all the kids that are in the tournament and all the kids that they're inviting in the neighborhood, and they're going to have some blow-ups and some food for everybody. And
it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, some games. They're going to be playing some games. So yeah.
I've got to reserve my grandson. I'll be like, can I please have my grandson? You have to, in my world, do you have to do this? Do you have to reserve time with your grandchildren? No, you don't. Well, see, mine are like in Gallatin, and they're busy, and he's getting ready to play baseball too. He's 5 and he's good. I wish they were in this county so bad.
Yeah,
I've tried to get them here, but I would love to have them here. Oh, love to have them here, but I have to reserve. I have to get on his calendar
on that list
because he's a busy boy, and I have a granddaughter too. But she's not. She's like 20 months old.
Oh yeah,
so
she's still little.
Yeah, she's itty bitty, but it's so much fun. I have never been into baseball at all. And then Mark and I, we ran the concessions for a couple of years out in Pleasant View.
Yes,
had
you did.
so much fun. We had so much fun. And I got such a kick out of watching those parents and watching those little kids. And so when they told me my grandson was going to play, I was like, yeah, buddy. And it's so much fun. It is so much fun. And I can already tell you, folks, I have different things I have scheduled with a lot of Celebrate Recovery stuff that we do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I can tell you right now, there's going to be some ball games going to interrupt that, and I'm going.
Now, we're not going to come in here one day and have a conversation about how you've been thrown out of a ball game for hollering at a referee or an umpire, right?
That's not me. That's not me. Now, Papa, my husband.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, really and truthfully,
it's needed.
Bring back up, because I would think that would be a good one to go through, because the disabled adults could come in and play for sure.
We're reaching out. We're reaching out to them. The Shine program here in town, reaching out there.
That would be such a blessing to watch.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, they get so excited. They had a night to shine at a church that I have a lot of friends at Northfield Church up in Gallatin, and the pictures. We're having so much fun. Sponsors here, but I want to remind you that we have Representative Congressman John. I know I tease him. I don't like the word congressman. They're representatives in the House, the People's House of Representatives up in Washington, and John is due to call us at 7:30 to talk probably primarily about the fact that the districting has changed, and he will no longer be our representative as of fall. That's when Mark Green will be taking the helm, and they're going to, at the Reagan Day dinner this year, the plan is for John to be there to introduce Mark. I haven't met Terry, and I've been here all these years. And I don't guess we've met until just like last year, maybe? I don't know. I
think it was. Was it Freedom Fest? Is that what brought us?
No, you came in to talk about that. I guess that's it. The problem you have is folks like myself that commute. I'm in Nashville all the time.
Yeah.
And have always been working in Nashville and tied to Nashville. And there's a lot of people in this community that way. And so they just don't disconnect from their commute long enough to see what they've got going on in their community.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
we've got a lot going on.
Absolutely. So what would you, if somebody were looking at this community and you see somebody walking around the square and they're like, I'm thinking about moving here, what would you tell them?
I would ask them if they've been to our parks yet.
Oh, there you go. So go through them. Tell everybody, because there may be people listening that really do not know because for a long time people assumed I knew different places, and I knew what they were, but didn't really know the names. But I knew where the parks were. Yeah. Used the Greenway some, but I kind of live in a park.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed to kind of live in a park-like setting. So,
sort of a Jurassic
Park. Yeah. If you haven't
Okay.
seen the rock that I found on my creek, I was asking Terry about it, and it kind of looks like volcanic. Now, we've had some of y'all that said it's just a piece of pavement that's gotten real porous, and it may be, but it's just interesting. But it's just we have caves and things like that. This area is really neat. That's what I'm hoping. Our creek is kind of moving into the bank of the hill, and there's sediment and rock that's washing out that's never seen the light of day because it's at the base of this hill. So we're losing bank on the other side, but things are getting turned over there that could be anything. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I keep hoping we'll find something, like a mammoth, or I don't know, like those mammoths, or a cave. I want a cave. I want a cave on my place so bad. It'd be so cool. But we were out looking for the eagles yesterday, so we hiked all over our property. No sign of them. I kept hoping, because we've spotted them in the trees a couple of times.
Yeah.
And just right in front of the house. And so we were hoping maybe there was a nest over by Sulphur Fork, like where the two come together. No, they're building somewhere else. But
we have two that usually show up at the park every year in the winter.
In which park?
Travis Price Park.
At Travis Park. Is there a nest nearby?
No, I think what it is the front lake that we have. Yeah. It's so shallow. It's just easy pickings.
Too enticing.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine, he had a pond, like a koi pond, and he saw an eagle on the edge of it one day going, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
And so there's an eagle that nests. I know of an eagle's nest that I can visit in Kentucky, put it this way. It's very, very close to my family. We'll just leave it at that. We don't want people, you don't say a whole lot. It's like, we have very, very easy access to an eagle's nest, and it's a lot of fun watching.
Oh, they are.
It is fascinating. Yeah. And so I just want one on my place so bad.
Yeah.
Well, the tornadoes that came through LB, Land Between the Lake, had to have upset a lot of nests. And so my thought is they're looking around. So
see what's out there.
Maybe we'll have one move into the neighborhood.
They might.
Because they're around,
Yeah, they may.
So who knows? But anyway, so what do we need? You've got somebody that is moving into town, and you're going to tell them about the parks. Go through, tell them what we got. Tell them what we got.
Travis Price Park. That's located off Blackwood Drive and Wilkes Road, and it's approximately 156 acres.
I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah, it is big.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've got walking trails all through it. We've got the front lake. We've got a little pond in the middle that's spring fed. We have one outdoor basketball court, fixing to break ground on another one. 2 sand volleyball courts. We're fixing to do the ribbon cutting on those in April or May.
Exciting.
Yeah, we can't wait for that. 2 soccer fields. And we've got the Post 48 building that we rent out every weekend. If you're looking for a place to go for a baby shower or a birthday party, it's a great location, but you got to call quick because it fills up fast.
It says, so what can it accommodate for the building?
The maximum is 50 people.
Okay.
So, and it's got a kitchen area in it. It's got a bar area in it, bar top where you can sit all your food on top of that. And then it's got a refrigerator and a microwave, the restrooms, and then it's got tables and chairs.
How expensive is it?
It's $50 for the first 2 hours. And then
that's cheap.
$15 for each additional hour
That's
after that.
cheap. Are you kidding me? Oh my word. No wonder you stay busy.
Yeah. And it's right there in the middle of the park.
Oh, beautiful.
So you have access to everything.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yep.
Now, that's also where the disc golf is.
That's where the 18-hole disc golf course is, yes.
So how do you access that when you come into the park? If you come into the main entrance there in the pond and cabin and all, where is the disc golf?
Go to the very back parking lot where the ball fields are.
Okay.
And once you enter that back parking lot, it'll be in the left-hand corner, up in the left-hand corner of the parking lot. You'll see the sign.
Okay.
It says Highlands Disc Golf Course, and that's where the number 1 hole is.
Okay.
And the Highland sign is also a kiosk, so you can just walk up to it and see how the layout is of the course.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lot of kiddos that go to my church that love disc golf, and I don't think they've visited this course yet because they're in Madison, but they're all over. And so, but I've got to just twist their arm and say, come on, I want you to see what's going on up here.
Yeah.
And because I want their feedback, and because I've heard it's wonderful. I don't play disc golf, but they had those discs at Ace Hardware. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they do.
Yeah.
But that was one place where you could go and buy some discs because you don't just go out there with a frisbee.
No.
It's like you have to have a putter and you have to have all the different ones. So I guess I better pay attention because John Rose may be calling me in a minute here. But so tell them what else you got going on while we wait for John to call in.
We have MLK Park, Martin Luther King Jr. Park. That's where our splash pad's at. The splash pad will be open in Memorial Day weekend.
Wonderful.
We also have the track out there where the rubberized surface where everybody loves to walk. But not only that, all of our county track teams go out and use that facility also.
Oh, yeah.
It's open for all of them. We just got finished with our 2 multi-purpose fields and our walking trail out there. We'll be doing a ribbon cutting on it as soon as we get the grass to come up, and it's got a good look to it and everything. So, and we also have 2 soccer fields out there. We've got plans for some other maybe another rec center to take place at Martin Luther King Jr. Park sometime down the road.
Okay.
We have Gardner Street Park, and Gardner Street Park has the dog park. Soon it'll have the skate park.
When's the projected opening of the skate park? Do you have a projected opening yet?
I can't say on an opening. I can say that hopefully spring or summer we're going to start breaking ground.
Okay.
So everything's looking really good. Kiwanis Margot is going after a grant to try to just tie that whole thing up in a nice bow and
wonderful.
And start breaking ground on that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun. And I know a lot of people are very excited about that. But so we've got, what else? What have we missed? Because there's something about a new playground coming in, isn't that? When is that happening?
We're turning the application in for the LPRF grant this year.
Okay.
If we're accepted on that, then we'll be replacing Playground 2000.
Right.
We'll also tear that restroom facility down at Gardner Street and build it back up, modernize it, get it make it where it's suitable, and a parking area out at the splash pad.
Awesome.
So people don't have to walk so far to get down to it.
Very cool. Very cool. I love it. We've got a great park system. I'm kind of watching the stuff here to see if John calls. He may forget because we forget stuff over the weekend, but we're expecting a phone call from John Rose, our representative in the House of Representatives up in Washington. So if he calls, we'll talk. But if not, we'll just keep talking with Terry here. Do you have anywhere you got to go? Do you have anywhere you have to be?
I have staff meeting at 9.
Okay, well, cool. We'll just hang out. I guarantee you we can find things to talk about. But Ace is asking us about the special needs playground at Martin Luther King Jr. Park. Didn't mention that one. Did you mention the special needs park? The special needs playground?
The all-inclusive one. That's finished out there?
Yes. Mm-hmm. She said speak a little bit about that because that's one of those things, if somebody's just coming to town, that's a cool thing. If you've not visited that, it is wonderful. So when did that happen, and what's the availability on that for everybody?
We opened up that park last Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, so go ahead and keep talking. And is there anything else that we're forgetting?
No, just our numbers are through the roof in all of our sports, and we want all the kiddos to get out here. You know, we take care of ages 4 through 13, just about everything we do. So we want them to get out and play ball. Whatever we have to offer, come play ball.
So we're going to make sure, and hang on, John, I'm with you, but I'm going to finish up with Terry Martin, and then we'll get right to it. But we've got, so the sign-ups for ball, what do you need to tell them as far as making sure they get signed up?
Just look on the City of Springfield website page. Get on that. Get connected with that. Also, we put signs up all around town. Social media. It's out everywhere. So whenever we get ready, we just finished our baseball and softball sign-ups. I think we're up 70 kids from last year. Okay. So yeah, we're really excited about everything.
Best way to get in touch with your office. How can they get in contact with you?
As far as athletics and sports go, call the center at 615-382-1655.
Say the number
ask again. 615-382-1655 and ask to speak to Seth Owen. Special events, renting of the center, same number, 615-382-1655. Ask to speak to Sherry Bryant.
Would they be the ones also to rent the place out at Travis Price, the building there?
The Post 48 building and the shelters, you can just call the front desk, and Miss Tiny or whoever's at the front desk will help you with that.
Awesome. Terry Martin in the house talking all things Parks and Rec, and thank you so much, and happy birthday, Bubba. Right?
That's right.
Absolutely. God bless you. We're going to move on here and talk with our representative, Congressman John Rose. Thank you, Terry. Always. God bless you. And John, are you with me this morning?
Good morning, U-Turn. How are you?
I'm doing great, brother. Harry, I'm so glad to talk to you, and a lot has happened since we last spoke. Oh, my goodness.
It seems that, I'm getting feedback. I don't know if that's on my end or yours.
I'm not hearing it on this end, I don't think. So I may be on your end. I'm not sure, sir. But I tell you what, let me see if you can. Are you okay now?
I'll see you as I keep talking.
There you go. Keep talking.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, yes.
Okay, good deal. Okay, so
well, thank you for having me on 1100 WSGI this morning.
Absolutely. And I tell you, we were kind of transitioning in between. We had Terry, I don't know if you've met Terry Martin. He is in charge of our Parks and Recreation here in Springfield, does an excellent job. And so we were talking to him just about some things that were going on. And so I appreciate you being patient with us. But I'm right out of the gate, my friend, oh my goodness, you're not going to be our representative much longer. What is going on? All this redistricting.
Yes, well, that's very disappointing. I agree, and but I think it's important to remind everyone listening that I will, we will continue to represent. I will continue to represent the people of Robertson County through January 3rd of next year of 2023, and so we plan to run through the tape and do that job all the way through the last moment that we represent. And of course, it's been my great privilege over the last 3+ years to get to know the people of Robertson County. And as you know, I have a number of dear friends that I've known for really decades that live there in Robertson County. And I'll continue to do everything I can to be helpful to people in Robertson County. But you're right, the legislature and the governor have spoken, and they have redrawn the districts. And so from January 3rd, 2023 on for the next 10 years, at least. Unfortunately, the 6th district is not going to include Robertson County.
Right, and you're getting a piece of Nashville too, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah. We are picking up, really close to 200,000 people in Davidson County.
Wow.
So it will, pretty dramatically shape the future of the 6th District. I am getting to keep, thankfully, most of the current 6th District. I'm losing Robertson County and losing Pleasant Hill down in Cheatham County and losing Coffee County down in the south and losing a major portion of Wilson County as well. But then in exchange, picking up about 200,000 people in Davidson County, and we're picking up all of Van Buren County over on the eastern side of the district, and then picking up the northern half of Scott County over around Oneida, if anyone knows that area. So
wow,
it will be quite a stretch from the Cumberland River at Titan Stadium to the Scott Campbell County line in East Tennessee. So
having campaigned across that 6th district, it was already vast, and bless your heart, it's a lot of area to cover when you're trying to get from events on the same day. Good land, bless your heart. I mean, I know it's definitely a trek, but it's beautiful. It is one of the prettiest districts. It is just absolutely gorgeous. It was such a pleasure to drive through it, but I know you've got a lot of work ahead of you, but we do appreciate how well you have represented us. And it is, I'm going to miss seeing and hearing about Chelsea and the boys, and I'm going to have to continue to check in with you guys just to see what's going on with your sweet little family.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And again, we've loved getting to know the people of Robertson County, and I regret deeply that we don't get to keep doing that. We knew the district was going to have to change, and of course, I, as you've heard me say before, I try to stay in my lane, and I think for good reason. The founding fathers left the decision on districting to the state legislatures, and it's their prerogative, our state legislators, to decide what the districts should be. And look at the good news is that Tennessee is going to pick up an 8th Republican member of Congress, and I think all of us can say that we believe that'll be a good thing.
You bet. Absolutely. So it's been very interesting to watch, and it's kind of went the way we kind of anticipated. I wasn't really sure how the lines were going to.
6th District, and so we're gonna focus on that. When the campaign gets started, we'll really zero in on knowing exactly where in Davidson County, and that's going to be a learning process. Not
particular color, specific maker model. You can order it, and when it comes off the truck, it's yours, and they make it effortless. So easy to order your vehicle now. You go to the website at RicelandBuickGC.com for accommodate a lot of people, and so that's happening. I'm wanting to say it's on a Thursday night, and it's either maybe
tonight. Our Republican leadership on the Appropriations Committee, Kay Hutchison from Texas, who negotiated, we've just said we're going to continue to operate on the same budget that we did during the previous year. Well, you can imagine how that it means that this is an area where experts here in the United States have been warning for years that the United States is falling behind, and now we see in very graphic terms the illustration that we are behind the Chinese. That
go there. What can you tell us about Ukraine? I've got friends in Ukraine, and I am so concerned for Ukraine right now. Do you have any insight that you can offer on that? And I apologize because that's not something I mentioned to you prior to the show, so I don't want to put you on the spot. But can you give us any insight into?
And so what part of
John Rose representing us in the People's House and the House of Representatives in Washington, and talking with him. If you have any questions, feel free to put them up on comments.
Activity so that the goods and services that are being produced are restricted and not have inflation. And so we've been warning about that. They've had their head in the sand. That calculation, kind of apples to apples, was closer to 16%, which is higher than it ever was during that bout of inflation that we had in the 70s and 80s. And so you might be saying, well, why does that matter? And why have we been warning about this for the whole last year? Last spring when President Biden was trying to pass, the $2 trillion, socialist agenda that they were trying to push through. We were crying, no, you can't do this. And the reason is because once inflation is in place, it's hard to get rid of. And again, those of us who lived through this in the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s, remember that the solution to high inflation is high interest rates. And so we've gotten very used to having very low interest rates in this country, home mortgages, cars, consumer debt, even student loans, those interest rates are low by historic standards. And so if you start to see them go up, this is going to be because that's the only way that you really beat back inflation. Of course, the other way would be fiscal discipline, but it seems that the Democrats are just not at all open to that idea of restraining the spending that we have. And so, not a pretty picture and not a pretty path forward, I'm afraid.
Well, I've got to tell you, you did a great job explaining it and breaking it down for us too, John. And we're so quickly out of time. And is there anything else that you want to share with us before we wrap this visit up?
Well, I just want to say I left last week sending a letter calling on the resignation of Secretary Mayorkas at Homeland Security, who's just terribly mismanaged our border. And, of course, the policies of the Biden administration have led to over 2 million illegals entering the country, and as we've seen, they're being sent all over the country. And I also sent a letter asking for an end to the public health emergency that was put in place because of COVID. It's time for this country to get back to business and get back to normal, and we've seen that happen, thankfully, in Tennessee to a much greater degree than many around the country. But we've got to get this country back in gear. We've got serious challenges around the world, serious threats. Most of us have lived most of our lives under the blanket of security, that this country is secure from all threats. We don't have that luxury anymore. There are malign actors all around the world that want to take the United States down, and we've got to stand up now and make sure that we secure the future of this country for our children, my sons Guy and Sam, and all of the young people that are out there that are depending on us to hand this country over to them as a free republic that they can enjoy the liberties and freedoms that we have.
Very well said, John. Very well said. Congressman John Rose representing us in the House of Representatives, the People's House in Washington on Black History Month. Donovan Hilton's going to be here. The school board meeting is actually happening tonight, so we've rescheduled Dr. Chris Causey to next Tuesday, so get ready for that. But we've got Donovan Hilton coming in tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Thank you for joining us here on 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Again, this is 1100 WSGI.